The very, I want you to think of this presentation or this conversation as some training that I actually do to people that is called pesticides control applicators. Who are these people? So these are people that apply chemical pesticides in agricultural fields. So this is mostly for, I have given this training to those type of people that apply pesticides at that kind of industrial level. And that had really helped me kind of understand the gravity or what are the things that we're handling here as pesticides. Okay, so this will go from that kind of angle. Now, something that I do want to mention here. So this is how it actually looks. Sometimes this type of people, this is a group of people that we train for these pesticides control applicators. We give some of these trainings actually in fields, in agricultural fields. Today I'm going to be talking about integrated pest management. That I think this should be the key important concept that you should kind of remember, consider. Then we're going to be talking a little bit about hydrology, pesticides, and some properties. I think spoiling the movie for everyone is this. Chemical pesticides is the last resource, okay? It truly is the last resource. We have other ways to manage pests in our garden. So if there is something that you should remember is that pesticides, chemical pesticides is the last resource, okay? Well, so let's start talking about pests. So what is a pest? It's an organism that typically that is not desired, that it is damaging, it is interfering to the plants in the landscape that we have. There is pests in a more kind of simplified way here. They will be, let me read my notes. So pests are, it can be animals, so, and those are related to insects, birds, rodents, snails, mites, nematodes, some pathogens, and it can be other plants. It can be weeds. Okay, so these are the type of pests that we're going to be talking about. These organisms, they can do a couple of things. So they either affect some of the, it can affect the plants that we want to grow, or it can create some impact to human or animal health, to our pets. So that's one of the things that I do want to mention. Pests may transmit diseases or maybe just nuances. Something that is important here is that a pest, it can create a problem with the plants, a disease. Here we're not going to be talking about the diseases, but they generate diseases, okay? Now, the next one will be about integrated pest management. This is super important. So, you should think about treating pests as an integrated approach. Again, the chemical is the last resource. So, what are other options that I have? So I have, and I'm pretty sure that you're already familiar with this. So we may have a biological control, and that can be other insects. In some of the cases, these are, it can be other animals. It's very common that in vineyards, they bring some of the sheep to actually eat the weeds. So that's another way. Mechanical control. What are the mechanical control? This is a fancy word for telling you that you have to bend and pull all the weeds from your garden. So that's kind of part of the mechanical control. Some other mechanical controls have been sometimes with we can actually mechanically move a lot of the soil, and that will actually kind of turn around the soil, that will create or aerate some of the soil. We have modification of cultural practices. Another way also to prevent pests is to rotate the cultivation of what we have. This is mostly for food gardening. When we're growing our food in our garden, we don't want to repeat all the years the same specific plant. We may rotate plants, and that's very common. The last one will be use some of the resistant varieties. This will go with some of the modification of the plants. We may buy specific plants. It can be fruit trees, or it can be specific plants for growing food that are resistant to certain pests. So that is basically, these are the things that we have to go before it. Habitat manipulation, it is also modifying the specific landscape so we can prevent pests. And for that one of the things that you may already know is some of these clothes that you put in the grass. So basically, in order to prevent weeds, so you try to get rid of the weeds, put some of these, and it can be also a cardboard. Some people use cardboard, some people use a regular plastic, or some use a little bit more of this fancy thing to do some of this habitat manipulation. That what it will do is prevent sunlight or reduce sunlight, and that the plants actually get their leaves into the sun, so they can actually, the weeds can get their leaves into the sun so they can actually grow. So those are some of the things. This is super important. And so the first one is that the chemical control is the last one. The second one is that you have all these things that you can do before actually putting a chemical in your garden. You can put, again, some mantis, ladybird bugs, all of those, they are good biological control. Sometimes actually birds will be a very good biological control. Some other animals that you can do the pest management. You can modify some of the things that you are growing, or you can use resistant variables. This is very important, guys. This will save you a lot of troubles and a lot of the things that I'm going to ask before going there. And of course, you will have to monitor. You need to monitor what are the pests that you have and how good are you with these management parts. Now, the chemical pesticides, you will use them only if you have gone through all the previous ones, okay? As you can see here, you want to integrated pest management, you want to get rid of these specific pests, and I'm going to talk about a couple of them. But you want to minimize the risk to you or to the people and the environment, the risk, and minimize the risk of contamination of people and the environment. This is extremely important, okay? Now, let me talk with you a little bit here. Where can you buy pest-resistant plants? This is Patricia. Okay, so there are certain, okay, let me actually, I'm going to stop sharing here, and I will do a little bit something here. Okay, now I have you all of this here. So when you go to the nurseries, they may have some of the, for instance, the fruit trees, they may come with a rootstock that might be resistant to nematodes or resistant to a pest in the soils. That is very common. Actually, you can ask when you're going to a nursery, hey, is this a common rootstock, or does it has a rootstock that is resistant? That will be a biological way to have to draft this specific plant. Something that it is not that common is that people use GMOs, genetically modified. It can be seeds, it can be organisms, and they are resistant to pests. Oh. So also don't try to go to that direction. if you can then you have that option. Now, let me tell you a little bit about your protection. Okay. So, one very important comment. The label is the law. What that means is that anytime that you're buying a chemical pesticide, you must read the label. The label is the law. Whatever is in the label, so you are liable for whatever is in the label of the pesticide that you are buying. This is extremely important. These PCAs, these industrial pesticides applicators, they read the laws. Everyone is reading the law. So that is the first thing. The label is the law. The second thing is that all of you, when you apply, if you decide to apply a chemical pesticides, I'm not telling you to apply it. This is the last resource, but if you decide to apply it, very important things here. You need to use gloves. This is extremely important. The largest organism of our body, the largest organ of our body is the skin. So you have to protect your skin. You need to use gloves. You need to use long sleeves. You need to use glasses. It can be any of these. These are more for construction. They will work. These will be the same for protection. And in some cases, you will need to use a face mask. This is important. This is extremely important. Even though the pesticide that you're using on the chemical pesticide that you're using at home is highly diluted, you should use it. This is extremely important. One other thing, once you have applied pesticides, and if you are treating either pests or your grandchildren or some kids, some children, try to take your clothes off before actually meeting your children. Why is that? Because the pesticide might be in your clothes. And if the children gets close to you and it hugs you, the children will be exposed to the pesticides because it touched the clothes that now are contaminated with the pesticides. So this is extremely important. You need to use a face mask. You need to use glasses. You need to protect your eyes. You need to use gloves. You need to use long sleeves. And also you need to use pants. Try to have the least exposed of your skin when you're applying pesticide. This is extremely important, guys. Even though this is diluted, this is very important. I have here a couple of pesticides, and I'm pretty sure that you use. Something that I do want to mention here. So, I mean, many of you will know this. Yes, I have it in here. Read the label, okay? If you look at this guy, basically what it says is that if it comes with contact with your eyes, please wash it and so on. What that means is that wear a eye protection. That's basically what these guys are saying. Also, they are saying this specific one, if you read the label, it will say that it is very harmful for fish and snails and some of the things living in rivers. What does that mean? That if you apply Roundup and it runs off into the drain will get into the rivers, and this pesticide will kill the fish. So I'm going to tell you some practices for you to prevent that. The first one is look at the climate. Do not apply any pesticide before actually a rain is coming or before you're irrigating. If you irrigate in the morning, then after the irrigation, perhaps you want to put some of this. I also have, so that is, this is for weeds. So we have different types of sites of killing things. So this is a herbicide. You may also find some, in this case, you have insecticides. You may have fungicides. So those are the different ones that you have in here. Someone was about to share their screen. Where are we? Okay. Let me see what's going on here. Oh, okay. So we have a person drawing. There you go. Now, so those are things that I do want you to be super clear. This is for your personal protection. Now, the other thing that I do want to mention to you, anytime that you're applying a pesticide, something that it does happen is the following. People may get a rash or may get ill because of two things. You apply the pesticide, you took your clothes and then you didn't wash your hands. And certainly there might be your wife or your husband or someone and you grab a bite of something. You eat a sandwich or you eat something with your hands. And you may get a stomachache. So also something very important is after you apply the pesticide, please wash your hands. More than ever, wash your hands because you can get a stomachache. That is the first thing. The second thing that does happen is that people after they apply pesticides and they get hot or they drink some water, they go to the bathroom. Wash your hands. Most of the problems with the skin actually are in the genitals. People going to apply pesticides and then going to the restroom. Those are the two. This is 85% of the people applying pesticides that get a disease or that get a ill is because they either eat something and they have it on their stomach, or they went to the restroom and they have it in the genitals. So please, please, please wash your hands. And the other thing that will be the last is what I told you. When you apply pesticides and you may get some drift on your clothes, make sure that you take those clothes off. Because that will go either to your pets or to little children, and you don't want to do that. As you can see, this is a very serious business. What I'm talking to you here is a very serious business. All the things that I'm telling you, this is a requirement. Oh, we have another one again. Okay. All the things that we're seeing that I'm telling you here, these are requirements. This is actually something that is by law required to these professionals. Unfortunately, most of the people like you and I, that we are homeowners or that we have our own garden, not necessarily that we own a house. Basically what is happening is that we are buying all these things at Home Depot. And when you bought this at Home Depot or Lowe's or your Ace, your regular garden store, when you bought your pesticide or fertilizer, no one actually asked you to like, hey, you actually need to read the label. That is a problem. That is a loop in our regulations. We need actually people to read the labels. I think at least for this first portion, this is something that I do want to make a pause here and to see if do we have anyone has a question related to okay, a couple of other things here. Sorry, these are all the disclaimers, but definitely this is something that you need to keep an eye. So sometimes the thing that they sell us, they come with a battery to actually spray it, but the battery dies and then so you can actually put it in a spray. That's okay. You need to label it. It has to be clearly labeled, okay? So that's one of the things. You can use other devices to apply it. It should not be reachable by children. You have to put it in places that should not be reachable for children. That's one thing. It has to be stored in a place that has a floor that is impermeable. So if it is concrete, if it is linoleum, if it is your garage, that's okay. You cannot store pesticides in places where it is in that if it spills, it will go into the ground and directly into the ground and then into the soil, because that will contaminate the ground. This put it, if any of you have you're living in the country or in a house that has a well, or that if you have your own well for your house, you cannot store any of these or manage it 100 feet close to the wells. What else? What else am I missing here? I think that's some of these things that I can mention. I'm having some questions here. Yeah. So this is a question from Pamela. Pamela says, my question is, should clothing worn when apply pesticides we watch separately with other clothing? Yes, preferably. Yeah, you don't want to contaminate other ones. Then I have another one. Dan Rivera. MSD sheets are not included with pesticide products. What is MSDS? MSDS sheets are not included with pesticides products. Why? Dan, let me see if I can find Dan Rivera and I can unmute him. Can you unmute yourself, Dan? Or explain what is an MSDS sheet?
Material data sheet, or material safety data sheet.
I don't know why they are not included.
Meeting on Zoom.
But basically, what is going on here is, yeah, you have to keep it in a secure place that is not impermeable. One other thing that is also important. So things happen, okay? Let's say that so you spill some insecticide or pesticide, some pesticide either in your garage or in the soil in the garden, okay? So that did happen, okay? Something that you can do is, so if it is in your garage and it is concrete, bring some soil, put the soil on top of the pesticide so it actually soaks or take the pesticide out of your concrete or the steel. Collect all that soil. It can be sand or it can be soil. Collect all of that and put it into a garbage bag. And that one you will have to go and dispose it to the landfill. You cannot dispose it on the regular side. If it happened that you, by mistake, spill some of the pesticide in the garden, you will have to bring the shovel and remove all the soil that was contaminated, put it in a garbage bag, and the same, you will have to do a trip to the landfill. That's basically what is going on here. I know, that's what I'm telling you. These guys are the last option, really. It is the last option. I think that's about it with these guys. Any other comments, questions? I'm just looking at things here. I know, I'm sorry. This is a huge disclaimer, but I really want to make you clear. One thing that is important that I do want to bring up here. So, again, pesticides is, or chemical pesticides is the last resource. The Department of Pesticides Regulation and California Food and Ag. No, it has to be into the landfill. When you go to the landfill, they will actually tell you what is the in what part of the landfill you will be able to dispose. It should be a landfill. Shouldn't pesticide soil clothes be disposed of the waterways facility? So this is Patricia. Pesticide soil clothes. No, I don't think so in that one, Patricia. Pesticide soil clothes. I think
pesticides cannot go in the trash. So you cannot bring it to the landfill. You have to bring it to the hazardous waste.
Yeah, that is correct. Yeah, that is correct. Mm-hmm. Yeah, if your clothes have been contaminated with pesticides, yes. Mm-hmm. What I was about to say. Any other comments or questions? Oh, so when you go to the grocery stores, how do you know that what you're eating is it has pesticides or not? So basically, CDFA, the California Department of Food and Ag, they go to the groceries and they randomly start picking some of the fruit. And then they actually test for something that is called pesticide residues. And pesticide residues, it is a residue that might be on the outer part of your fruit. And it should not be a certain concentration that if you eat it for 100 years, for 3 times a day, that it will kill you. So it's very, in theory, it's very safe to eat food from the groceries. CDFA is monitoring in there, and also when they are sending it out of the package facilities. So that is super safe. Really, the main problem of when you're gonna get exposed to this is when you're applying it. The highest risk of pesticides is not buying it from the grocery stores. It's when you are buying it and applying it. That's when you're putting your safety at risk. Okay. Any other comment, question? I know this took a lot of time, but this is some serious conversations. I'm sorry. We're doing on all things considered, we're doing a great job here in California. So the CDFA go to farmers market. So in that case, so this is Robin Baker. Everyone that is selling produce, it has to comply with CDFA rules. And some of those rules is that they will have to send some produce to be tested. Not necessarily that they are going to the food markets, to the farmers markets. I think for farmers market, they have to send it there. Mm-hmm. The most important thing here for also for fruits and vegetables is just wash it. Put some water and wash it. That's the easiest way. Connie, is there a real advantage to spending money on organic produce, even though organic does not mean pesticide free? Well, I think that will be of your preference. I think organic food may bring some good and bad issues. I think it is of your preference, or you're spending the money. Okay. Shall we continue here? I think we're good. I do want to move on. Sorry, I really want to make this message clear. So above all, let me just go to my notes clear. Okay. So number one, here. We have something that is called Integrated Pest Management, and you can do biological control. You can bring some beneficial fauna and flora. You can do mechanical control with your hand. You can have habitat manipulation with some things that you can actually prevent pesticides. You can modify what you're growing or what you're planning to plant to prevent pests. You can see if you can buy resistant varieties. Please go and have this list first, or think about this first before actually applying a pesticide. Okay? Now, if you decide to apply pesticides, number one, read the label. Number two, protect yourself. You need to have gloves. You need to have glasses. You need to wear long sleeves. You need to wear pants. Again, read the label. Once you are applying pesticides, take the clothes that you have in here. Wash your hands. That is super important. And keep pesticides out of reach of children and in a place that you know that it will not spill. If a spill happens, put some sand or some soil so you can actually clean it up. You will have to put it to the landfill. If it is on your garden, take that piece of soil, put it in a plastic garbage bag, and bring it to the landfill. That's kind of the take-home message for managing pesticides. Is there okay? So I think after this, now there are different ways in how pesticides can reach water. Okay, so pretty much there are two bodies at risk of that the pesticide can reach water. Now, let me go back here. Why is so important that the pesticides do not reach water? Well, one is the one that I've already told you. It can kill whatever is living in there, fish, invertebrates, amphibians, and so on. The other one is that most of the drinking water that we have at home, it comes from groundwater or it comes from the rivers. So pretty much all the pesticides that we're applying later, we're going to be drinking, and that's not fun. So there are two main bodies that it can reach. It can reach a river or a ditch, or it can reach, in this case, the sewer system, the rain system for the sewer. So that will be one way it can reach groundwater. Okay. So let me actually, I'm gonna provide you a little bit of hydrology, some of the pesticides properties and soil properties. Okay. Let me see. Okay. Let me go directly to, some of you think of this, what you're gonna see here. This is, imagine that I'm sliding or I'm cutting a part of the earth. I'm just kind of have a big saw and I'm cutting it. This will be a river, this will be a landfill. Think of this as just regular land. Underneath, this is filled with sand. So think of this, that this is like an ant farm filled with sand, okay? This is a clay layer and this is a coarser sand, okay? Coarser sand, finer sand. This is kind of the representation of the river, okay? This is some rain. This is gonna be the river. This is the container of water on the container. So groundwater is the water that is in the ground. The container of that groundwater is called an aquifer. So in this case, this is the container, well, is this kind of a sand farm. But this part in here, so this wall, this layer, this compacted layer, and this wall, it might be an aquifer. Is the container of that water. Here we have another aquifer underneath. These are some wells and so on. So there are two ways that pesticides can reach the aquifer or any water body. This one is due to the following. So you have a pesticide. At this point, let me just stop here. So think of this. You have so you're applying pesticide, or you can let's think about a herbicide, Roundup. So you're applying Roundup into the weeds. The Roundup may not attach. So it is the Roundup may not like, and actually doesn't like water. What it likes is the soil. So Roundup will attach or will get glued to the soil, to the specific soil that is in there, okay? If you apply water, the Roundup will not move because it's attached to the soil. However, if it is a large rain or a large irrigation event, the water will move the soil, and attached to the soil will go the pesticide. So one of the ways that the pesticides moves once they have been applied is that the pesticide attached to the soil, and there is excessive irrigation that is moving the soil. That is what you're gonna be seeing here. So in here, yep. And so this is you're gonna see a video of them. Again, this is the same system that I explained. At this moment, if you're gonna be seeing here, so the water, you can see it on these two sides. And this is the water levels. I'm putting, so this pipe has some holes, so that is water coming down. What you can see here in this corner is that the soil is very saturated. It's raining faster than the soil can drink the infiltration. So basically, all this, the water is just kind of having a runoff. It's just running on top of the land. And basically with that is also bringing the sediment. So that's what you're seeing in this corner. Unfortunately, that's how things are attached. This one, think of this as whenever you're walking on the street and you're seeing that someone is overwatering their front yard. And as they are overwatering all the front yard, it's also bringing all the soils, that is bringing all the sediment that is ended up in the pavement, and later is going to be into the rainwater sewer system. That's basically what's happening here. Let me see. Leaching will be another one. So, yep. What you're gonna see is that I'm gonna put some dye in here, and then we're gonna apply some water. What you're gonna see is that, think of this as if you're applying some pesticides or again, a herbicide. You're putting some, then as it is raining, you can see how the pesticide move in the ground, and that ultimately it may reach some of these wells, it may reach the rivers. So that's the other way that you can actually see how it can reach it. So, so I think at this point, you need to know some of the characteristics of the pesticides. You need to know some of the characteristics of the soils that you're applying it. And then you need to have some good practices, okay? If you know these three things, you can prevent contamination by the infiltration, by leaching, by runoff, and in this case, by direct channels, it will be through wells. Let me go in here. So, you need to know more what is the soil texture of your garden, of your backyard or of your front yard. And pretty much the soil texture will be clay or sand or loam, and it can be, or silt, a silty loam, a sandy loam, a clay loam. And this might be super difficult in here, and again, I will give this presentation to Louis. In this website, you can actually click on it. You can go to your location, and you can actually see what is the percent of sand, the percent of clay, and the percent of silt. And you can see what is your soil texture. This is important because some of the pesticides pretty much attach to loams or to clays. Depth to the groundwater, in this specific web page, you can actually see how deep are the depth to the groundwater, okay? Another important thing that you should know is that there are some areas that are called groundwater protected areas, GWPAs. And again, I'm gonna have this video available on YouTube. You can come back here and you can take a look at these GWPAs. In all these counties, we have these protected areas. And they are protected for runoff or for leaching, and sometimes for both runoff and leaching. So for instance, this is for the Sacramento County. In these areas, you should prevent at all costs runoff in these specific areas, because if there is any runoff, you're going to kill something, or they are close to intakes to a specific drinking water facilities. The next one, I think, is you need to take a look at. So you need to take a look at these three different properties. And again, in this specific website here, you will be able to know what are the three characteristics of these properties. The take-home message here is this: the persistence is how long a pesticide will stay in the environment. Some of these pesticides last more than 100 days or 200 days. So you apply it and it will stay in the environment more than 100 days. Some of them, they might be very soluble. And what that means is that if you apply it and then you apply some irrigation, or if it rains, it will go into the ground. The last one, the sorption, is how they attach to the soil. Sometimes they will be attached to the soil, and again, if you over irrigate or if there is a rainfall, it will travel with the runoff. So those are the things that those are kind of the basic concepts. Something super important is that, so as I was telling you before applying a pesticide, monitor the weather. See if there is any rain coming. If there is any rain coming, please don't apply any pesticide, because it will run off, okay? Realize when you are irrigating your yard. If you're irrigating every other day, so apply it just right after the irrigation, so you give it the longest time before the next irrigation. So you don't want to apply the pesticide and then irrigate. That's not the way of doing it. Read the label, and in terms of this mixing and loaded, most of them, they are coming already prepared. Load and mix the pesticides in places that they have impermeable floor. Okay. Oxy Fluorophane. Okay, so atrazine, this is Roundup. Okay, if you look at what is the active ingredient of this guy here, this guy is atrazine. Basically, what atrazine does is that so it is moderately soluble with water. So this guy really likes water, and it stays here. The half-life, it says that it will stay in the environment for 100 days. So when you apply it, half of it will degrade after 100 days. So it stays a lot in the environment. And these have this KOC coefficient, okay? So it is very persistent. It stays a lot of time on the environment. It is soluble. It likes to be soluble. This is 100. In here, this Kc value, if it is over 10,000 is high. Between 10,000 and 1,000 is moderately. Below 1,000 is low. This is just to tell you that this will not attach to the soil. This moderately attached to the soil. This really stays with the soil. These are these three values. You don't have to memorize them. Again, this is I'm mentioning these numbers because in the video you can always refer to this. Basically, what is happening here with the atrazine is that it will stay in your front yard or in your backyard for 100 days at least once you apply it. It really likes water. It will dissolve with the water. It doesn't attach to the soil. So basically, when you apply it and if you irrigate, it will try to infiltrate into the ground or it will go into the rainfall sewer system. That's basically what is happening with atrazine. The previous one that I was showing you, Oxy Fluorophane, I think it is this is an insecticide. It might be wrong. but I think this is for insecticides. In this case, this specific, so this is the active ingredient of some insecticides. It stays in the environment for 293 days. It doesn't like water. It's not soluble. But this tells you this number, this 18,000, this KOC value is greater than 10,000. It really binds to the soil. What does that mean? That the pesticide will move where the soil moves, where the particle moves. So if there is any rainfall, large rainfall or over irrigation, it will run off. Okay. So this was atrazine. Yeah, this will be the last part of this. So when you're doing any mixing unloaded, make sure that it's in an impermeable surface. Again, you don't have to apply it or manage any pesticide closer to a well. This is a book. This is a book about how to do a lot of these things. Just the last comment before I go to more questions here is, yeah, basically this is what you can see. What I just give it to you is basically this training that I do to other people that are handling pesticides in the field. Yeah, this is how these things look. Sorry, we have here a funny picture in here. You're gonna be surprised. This is a picture. Back in the day, this is actually on Disneyland, on the hotel of Disneyland. All these guys of the pesticides control applicators, they have a conference room, a very large conference room, and this is where they get trained. A lot of people in Southern California, they get trained about how to use pesticides in here. Yeah, I'm also sometimes do this with some little children. Hey, I explain this. These are all the specific information that I give you. They are all on these websites. So that is one important thing. One last thing here, it will be that here. So the abbreviated version of all of this and this one I don't think is in those resources. Here. So this is a video that I explain what I explained it to you. That is already available. So this will be the abbreviated version, 12, 13 minutes. About pesticides and fertilizers. So this actually will tell you an abbreviated version of all the things that I just mentioned. And I think that is it. And we're just close to the hour. I think more this one about a specific pesticide of you of what pesticide you to use. This will be a little bit more on handling, on in preventing pesticides to be to contaminate. So at this point, I don't want to. If anyone has any question, comment, please. Sorry, I know that this was a little bit for some of you disheartening. Perhaps one of the key comments here is, yeah, I mean, the pesticide is the last resort. Applied in small doses. Oh, one other thing, all the pests will get resistant. So the pests evolve and they get resistant to the pesticides. So when you apply, make sure that you kill the thing. Oh yeah, I can, yeah, that's good, Robin. Yeah, I can, let me post again the list of resources. Yep. So here we have, from Dennis, does atrazine move in soil more freely than glyphosate? Okay, that's a very good question. Let me actually, oh, here it is. I think this is the one that I was, no. Let me actually see if I can do this in here. Let me see if this one works. So the answer to Dennis' question is that I don't know the answer. So here, so she's asking Dennis. Where is that? Yeah, does atrazine move in soil more freely than glyphosate? So I do not know that one, but we can go here and look for glyphosate. We have here many of those. So they can come in potassium salt, in ethanol. We will have to look what is the one that we are thinking. But let's go for the first one, ammonium, okay? And no primary data were found. Okay, let's see if we can find another one. It seems that this one is being banned. Yeah. Okay, so here. Yeah. It seems that glyphosate in this form, as you can see, it is very soluble. So it's, and so we can compare this. So these have, as far as I'm seeing here, this one is moving a little bit faster of what I had in here for the atrazine. Sorry, this may be kind of a more geeky question. So in this one, if you look at this, unfortunately, here. So this has like 3 molecules in here. The one that we just saw for glyphosate, it has way much more molecules moving. So what that means is that the glyphosate, it will move, it will dissolve in water, and it will end where the water ends. So thanks, Dennis, for the question. Robin, I put again the list of resources, and we'll send those. I will move to the resources one again. This one. Then Louis, this perhaps not related, but UC Riverside found a treatment for previous uncurable citrus. It is a pesticide treatment, and I think it's not commercially available. Is it particularly dangerous? I think they haven't, my first impression on this one is that they haven't tested the how risky it might be either for so the pesticide residue, or it might be the risk mostly for the people applying it. The pesticide residues, we have a very good handle in terms of the guidelines. Really, the people that are putting their life at risk are the people that apply pesticides. So every time that you are touching a pesticide, just be aware you're killing with something, you're dealing something that kills. So I think in that particular case, might not be commercially available because I think they don't want to have a lot of people exposed that can kill them. Any other comment, question? I know this is a typically I don't like to kind of be on this kind of risk side. I don't want you to feel afraid of it. Protect yourself. So try not to use chemical pesticides. I told you all the list that you can do before. If you're gonna use it, make sure that you protect yourself. Again, at the end, use your PPE, your personal protective equipment. Wash your hands. Keep it in a safe place. I think that's basically what I'm trying to tell you here. Okay. Yeah, that's kind of the deal with this. And read the label, please, 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 please. Everyone reads the label. Please read the label. Any other comment? And this is what you went through. This is what actually people that apply pesticides for a living have to know by heart. No, thanks to you, Robin. Deborah, yeah, I know this is an important topic. I'm sorry if you were kind of like, hey, I have this disease, or I don't apply that much pesticide, but I'm kind of work on the other end, which is kind of keep people and natural resources safe of not being contaminated. Any other comment?